Xbox? That's not a question that I ever expected to see Phil Spencer having to answer in an interview, especially not so pointedly.
Well, that's a pretty good question. I would go as far to say that the backwards compatibility, free upgrades, optimized games, quick resume, way better than that rest mode that you was talking about. Let's talk about the fact that I could play NES, Super Nintendo, a huge plethora of PS1, 2, GameCube games, 4K 60, and all the games that you don't have on your platform. Let's also talk about how Microsoft has provided their gamers with some of the best third-party gaming experiences. Day and date, you're saving money. You get a whole plethora of games through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. What seems to be the problem? Now, the real question you should be asking, why does anybody want a PlayStation 5? Now, if you guys want to sit there and say, well, because of Black Myth Wukong and what's the other one you guys like to bring up, Stellar Blade and Rise of Ronin, well, maybe those games need to sell past the 5 millions for you guys to even use that as an argument. Because if you guys don't want to buy these games even on your own platform, then I don't really think you have the bragging rights to brag about them not being on the Xbox One.
But when seemingly every facet of the Xbox brand has changed, I think it's a fair question.
What's changed? They're doing the same thing they did during the Xbox One. They're expanding their gaming division. They understand that Sony ain't got no games for you to play. Look at that. That's the game that you guys are looking forward to. More Xbox games. How about if I told a Nintendo fan that I picked up the Nintendo Switch solely to play Call of Duty and not to play Mario? Most Nintendo gamers will look at you like you're foolish, but when you're a PlayStation fanboy and you don't buy your own exclusives, this is the only thing that you guys can latch onto.
2024 was a transformational year for Xbox. They had to face head-on the reality of shipping their exclusive titles to other platforms. They pushed out marketing campaigns,
just like Sony pushing their games to PC,
that talked about how everything was an Xbox. The Microsoft CEO said they were redefining what it meant to be an Xbox fan, future hardware, as well as game development strategy. And I'm going to be honest, his answer doesn't give me a lot of confidence. And it also...
Now, the only games that you guys could say is that you guys got Code Violet, a game that nobody wants to play. Okay, PlayStation has PlayStation 5 has games that most people don't even want to play. That's why your games do bad on PC. Stellar Blade, Rise of Ronin. That's why all these games go on to PC. It's gotten to the point that you guys have taken all the shovelware that you had that barely even sold 1 million. Says, you know what? Let's give it to the PC audience so they can give us a little bit more money. But we're going to keep the game off Xbox as if we care enough to play these games in the first place. The fact that your own audience doesn't care about them is more than... Now, a game like Black Myth Wukong, you can use that as an example. Baldur's Gate 3 at the time. You can use that game as an example because that's a game that people wanted. But if we're going to sit there and use games like Code Violet, the same people that made Quantum Era, well, all I'm going to say as an Xbox owner, you can have it because nobody wants to play that garbage.
Completely ignores what happened this generation with their hardware. And I also think their plan is very risky. I'm going to explain more in a minute. He even took a question from another interview about Starfield that was the most frank that I think I've ever seen Phil be when it comes to the subject. So let's get into it. You don't need to interpret it. You don't need to extrapolate anything from it. He just flat out says that the platform is now second in priority.
He did not say that. That's what you fanboys are telling yourself so you can make yourself feel better as to why you picked up the PS5 over the Xbox. At the end of the day, these games are still dropping day and date through Microsoft's very own console and ecosystem. How is that any beneficial to you guys on PlayStation? You still got to pay $70. You might not even get these games on a you're getting games on a case-by-case basis, right? You're not getting these games right away. So regardless of you guys saying, that Microsoft, the Xbox is the second priority, if that was the case, then that means these games would drop on PlayStation 5 first, and they wouldn't even drop on the Xbox Series X. But instead, they drop on the Series X through day and date, through both systems, but you have to pay, or you don't get the games right away, which also means that Microsoft has prioritized the Xbox over the PlayStation 5. You see how easy that was for me to break that down? But of course, ponies would act like Microsoft dropping 4 games, some Grounded and Sea of Thieves on their platform as if they're the priority. Come on, bruh.
I think the difference that we've seen in the last 20 years And I think this is good because I come from building games. It's really game first, not platform first.
Yeah, I would agree. I think most gamers would agree.
Most of the games you and I will talk about run across so many different platforms. And those are the games.
And those happen to be the most popular games in the world.
Games that are having success. Those are the games that are at the top of the charts when you look at the most played.
Yeah.
Most successful games. And I want to build a platform that services those creators that are trying to meet people on every screen.
Now, it sounds good on the surface to say that it's game first, right? Not platform first, but it's not that simple. Both Nintendo and PlayStation clearly emphasize...
Bro, stop using PlayStation as if you guys are Nintendo. You are the guys that struggle to buy your games, and Nintendo gamers aren't. They picking up their Mario Kart, they Animal Crossing, and they Smash Bros. Stop comparing yourself to Nintendo gamers because you Sony gamers aren't them. It is what it is, bro. If you guys was Nintendo gamers, then Astro Bot should have sold within 20 to 30 million. Because if that was Mario or Pokemon, that's exactly what those sales will look like. But we clearly didn't see that with Astro Bot, did we?
Making great games. They have a long history of their games getting game awards, but the games they make serve their platform, which is part of why their quality is always at such a high level.
Oh yeah, because there was a huge quality on PlayStation 5 playing remasters from PS4 generations. There was a huge quality improvement when they told people that they could upgrade their old Last of Us and get the remade version for $70 if you didn't have it. Yeah, that's some good quality there, buddy.
They're not just making a game to hit a sub-service or any platform that will take it. They're making...
Oh, really? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16. What are you talking about? That's all Sony's been doing. Majority of their games are going to PC. What are you talking about?
Games to incentivize hardware purchase and platform loyalty.
Oh, here we go. Platform loyalty. Oh, yeah, say that for all the people that didn't pick up Astro Bot.
Was the case with Halo for years with Xbox.
Bro, that was 20-something years ago, bro. See, you guys are comparing things from back then to how things are now. People don't consume their games the same way.
But not anymore going forward. Now, he backs this decision up by saying that games having success and the ones at the top of the charts with the most players are the games across multiple platforms. But the fatal mistake here is that the biggest and most played games are also somewhat simple in their design. It
doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
The big ones like Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, even recently.
I wouldn't say those games are completely simple. Fortnite actually does have a lot of mechanics with the building. So for you guys to say that Fortnite is a simple game, what makes Fortnite, like, for example, hold on, what? You got me confused there. You just said Fortnite and games like that are simple? If anything, those games have more mechanics than games like Uncharted and God of War.
Marvel rivals. Even sports games typically top the charts in sales as well as player numbers. Well, all these games are somewhat contained experiences, and they rarely are pushing tech innovation, graphics, or hardware.
Well, that's a good argument because most of these games could be played on PS4. So that's a good argument. Wow.
Live service games, by their nature, have to be broad in reach, so they need to run on a cell phone and a Nintendo Switch while also running on a high-end PC or a console. But this clearly limits just how much those games can do. Changing the map and...
I mean, you could do a lot in those games. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of them, but there's a lot of things that you guys can do in these games.
Royale or updating rosters in a sports game isn't...
I mean, it's more than what Sony's doing. I mean, you got games like Call of Duty running 100 players on the map. And then you got games like Concord that is absolutely garbage, and it's only a 6v6 game. What do you mean? What are you talking about when you sit there and say, oh, that these games ain't pushing any boundaries? So Concord with 6 versus 6, which is essentially an Overwatch clone, is pushing more boundaries than a game like Call of Duty Warzone when you have a big open world environment and there's 100 players on it with vehicles and all this stuff. What are you talking about, bro? You clearly don't make no sense.
The kind of front-of-the-wave game design work that other studios are typically working on.
Yeah, because Sony was definitely pushing the technology with these remasters. Like, really? Come on, bro. You know what, man? You ponies got no argument.
If you're going to use giant live service games being both popular and across many platforms as possible as your new game development philosophy, you're going to learn some hard lessons. From a dev standpoint, the broad and the more simple approach to live service games like a battle royale or even arena shooters is simply not conducive to all creative work. Countless developers have commented on this and talked about how helpful it is to build a game for one platform. Even really successful
Oh, really?
games.
Is that why every game is always going? And so according to your logic, then PlayStation 5 shouldn't put their games on PC, and that's exactly what they're doing. Oh yeah, games are tailor made to be for one platform. Then explain as to why Sony's putting games on PC.
Like Baldur's Gate 3 utilized Steam and early access to get a more polished product that then they later brought to consoles. So creating this tension point between prioritizing platform versus prioritizing games is
and Microsoft has prioritized their platform by giving their audience day and date games, Game Pass Ultimate, and maybe some exclusive games that will stay there for a little bit before they maybe inevitably drop on PlayStation. That is still showing priority. That's like saying, well, Marvel Spider-Man 2 didn't have priority on PlayStation 5, even though it did because it dropped there first and then the game dropped on PC inevitably. The PS5 was still the priority because they dropped it there first. Like, you know what, man? Go ahead, bro.
Necessary. Well, why? Because if a game prioritizes a platform, they can actually serve the game's
you fanboys prioritize a platform
benefit, which in turn benefits the players. It's why
how does it benefit the players?
The Game of the Year nominees every year are both Nintendo and PlayStation.
That's not true. Nintendo hasn't won a game award since Sony's been doing stuff behind backstage with Jeff Keighley.
Exclusives. The proof is so self-evident that I'm always shocked at how many alleged games.
Really? Because I thought Elden Ring won, Cyberpunk won. You guys just got lucky with Astrobot, and even then, that game barely even sold.
Fans think that just putting a game on every platform is a simple press of a button and that it won't have adverse effects on the quality of the games. The other major...
How would it have... Bruh. How is the quality of the game going to be impacted if the game drops on another platform? You're sounding like a straight fanboy, man.
Your problem with this...
So Marvel Spider-Man 2 no longer has the same quality on PlayStation 5 because it dropped on PC?
That it feels purely money motivated.
Oh, here we go. It feels pretty. What do you think these companies are in business for, bro? You should know better than that. When you go out there and buy the game for $70, don't you give them your money to buy the game? So you're acting as if these companies do this because of the kindness of their hearts, right? Is that what it is?
And they're trying to package this as like it's pro-consumer. And the infamous Xbox podcast, where they were talking about the 4 games coming to Nintendo and PlayStation, Matt Booty said something very telling. Listen to what he says about Fortnite and Roblox and how it changed the way that they think about things.
Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform. And that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core.
Looking at games like Fortnite and Roblox and saying, well, this changes how we view games on our platform is a very short-sighted way to treat game development.
Oh, that's funny because Sony did the same thing by trying to make 12 live service and subscription games, which is probably all in line with what everybody else is doing. But yet, the reason why Sony canceled them because they know they can't compete with these games that are out.
These games are somewhat anomalous in many ways, and how many battle royales have chased the giant live service dollar and then vanished shortly after? Thinking that you can start making games with this philosophy of be like Fortnite has created a very long list of failed or canceled live service games.
For PlayStation, but not for everybody else.
And it will very likely have the same effect on non-live service game development as well. For example, imagine telling a studio working on a game like Halo that they need their game to run on PC, Series S, Series X, Nintendo Switch 2. Sure, Indiana Jones looks and runs great. Doom the Dark Ages teraflops and the world's most powerful console to a steady stream of devs saying that the Series S was making it hard to bring games to the Xbox platform on. More work for the Series S and even planned better. And then there were wild theories about secret exclusivity deals for Black Myth Wukong.
Sony creators are actually credited in that game, so clearly we know what's going on here with that. But at the end of the day, guys, man, like I said, bro, the concept of an exclusive is over. We're gonna probably come to a point where we're gonna have to be able to play all our games on one platform. The dream world that we all lived in, and that will be through a set-top box or a PC. Those days is over. The concept of a console is at its peak, and it's done. There's only so much they can push consoles. You guys are the ones fighting against $1,000 consoles. Well, if you guys care about console gaming that much, you would spend $1,000 on the console. But we know, and these manufacturers know that you wouldn't. So Microsoft and Sony's going to say, let the third party do it. That's why you're hearing that Microsoft's in talks with third party, because they don't want to do it either. And Sony don't want to do it either if their games are not selling. That's what you don't understand. The only money that Sony's getting is through that subscription money for people playing Call of Duty. Microsoft wins and Sony wins, except now Microsoft has full control over it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, man. At the end of the day, the concept of a console war is over, and the only people holding on to it, apparently, is these PlayStation fanboys. Take care.